Hello, everyone. My name is Tani Para, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist here at Earthbound Media Group. And I want to thank everyone for joining us for today's webinar titled Healthcare Website Optimization Without a Committee, Using Testing to Make Decisions. Before we get started, I just want to really quickly provide a little bit of background information about Earthbound Media Group. We are an interactive marketing agency based in Southern California, and we specialize in providing expert consultation and implementation services for website redesign and content management projects. We also do online marketing and emerging media, which includes search engine marketing and social media marketing. Your presenter today will be Dr. Blaine Behringer. He's a co-founder and managing partner of Earthbound Media Group, and he provides leadership in online marketing strategy and planning for some of our healthcare clients, including Loma University Medical Center, Banner Health, Cardin Children's Medical Center, St. Helena Hospital, as well as for Cybron Dental. But before I officially turn it over to Dr. Behringer, I just want to remind everyone that you are welcome to submit questions all throughout the presentation. Just input your question into the question dialog box on your screen. Also, the slides for the presentation, as well as the presentation itself, will be posted on the Earthbound Media Group website, and it will also be posted on SlideShare. I will be back later to provide more details on that. So without further delay, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Blaine Behringer.
Thanks, Tani, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and get started here and go over the learning objectives. Today, hopefully after the presentation, you'll be able to understand how to optimize based on target audience user behavior, empower your marketing team to test new offers and content ideas, understand the fundamentals of multivariate testing. We'll actually be going through several examples of that, and then understand how to increase online conversions through informed website optimization rather than guessing. The presentation's going to go through the challenges that currently face healthcare marketers today. What is testing, sort of a testing 101, the fundamentals of testing, how do you formulate a testing hypothesis and then execute a test plan. So we're going to go through some case studies of how testing is impacting Loma University Medical Center. And then I'd like to go over how you can get started with multivariate testing in your organization. And of course, we'll go through some questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. Current challenges facing healthcare marketers today are really around multiple owners of the web trying to make decisions on optimization and making changes. And really, hopefully none of you have been in this situation that you see on the screen where people are yelling at a table. But as we all know in healthcare, there are many stakeholders that come to the table when decisions are being made about a website. And I think that's really true in any organization. And hopefully those people who are at the table aren't getting too frustrated. But when there's multiple opinions and approval processes to get a website changed and optimized, that can really cause a lot of frustration and delays. And hopefully testing will show you that you can eliminate that. Another challenge in website optimization is the homepage dilemma. And I have this graphic on the screen just to really show that one house or one place, one home, can look very different to different people. And depending on your organization and the politics and egos that are involved with constructing or changing the website, it can really have a dramatic effect on the outcome of your homepage and what it looks like. So rather than build or optimize your homepage based on people's opinions, the idea would be that you want to optimize based on what the user thinks your homepage should look like. And that's really what testing is all about. Here you can see that Forrester research shows that the cost of paid advertising and online marketing is really going up. From 2007 to 2012, you can see in the chart that paid search is actually increasing by over $5 billion. and the need for search engine optimization is actually going up a little bit more significantly at about $6 billion. So while there's rising costs for internet and online marketing, really your budget isn't changing. So if your budget's not changing as these costs are increasing, what you need to do is use your money more wisely, and hopefully that's through testing and optimization so that your budgets are used more carefully. Forrester also shows that there's a rising use of the internet amongst the Gen X audience, and typically this is the audience that healthcare marketers are trying to reach. These are the 30 to 45-year-olds or 43-year-olds that are really making healthcare decisions in the household. You can see that Forrester actually shows that this audience is using the internet about 17 hours a week. In comparison to the Gen Y audience, that audience is about 19 hours a week. So both of these audiences who are very highly internet savvy are very close in use of the internet, and this is really going to dramatically impact how they consume your website content. Because they're more savvy, we need to continually optimize and provide them content that will meet their needs. So the question of the day is, how do you optimize your website for the end user to achieve your business goals, especially when all users are different? And the answer is really test, 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 and test again. And you'll see as we go through the case studies later in the presentation that really testing needs to become part of your organization's culture so that you can continually optimize and improve your website to meet the end user's needs as best as possible. So before we get into case studies about that, what I'd like to do is just walk through some fundamentals of testing. The first thing we're going to do is talk about what is testing, and then we'll actually go into how testing works. What you see on your screen now is an example of really the simplest form of testing. This is called A/B testing. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see what we would call the A test, and on the right side of the screen, you can see what we would call the B test. The difference between these two images is simply that one has a different photo than the other. So typically what we would do is drive traffic. If for example, we're driving traffic to a page with the ad on the left and a different page with the ad on the right, we would simply test these offerings with a sample group and determine which ad actually leads to more purchases of candy bars. And our hypothesis would assume that the image on the right would perform better just because it looks more scrumptious. But sometimes you never know with the audiences that you're testing against what the outcome will be, and that's the purpose of testing. The next form of testing is multivariate testing. And to explain this, I'm going to go through a series of different tests that I'm actually going to demonstrate. So if you see on the right-hand side, the testing we'd like to show as an example here is testing the copy. So we'll test the value proposition, which is this area here, famous chocolate since 1892. We'll test the placement of that copy. Maybe we'll move it below the image. And we'll test the button color and message. So we'll change the color and we'll change what the button says. The goal of the test will be to determine what is the winning ad, what is going to cause the end user to buy the chocolate bar. And then we'll determine which creative is going to work best to do that. And our metric will be the click-through rate. So let's take a look at this multivariate test, changing out the value proposition from famous chocolate since 1892 to rich and creamy chocolate from famous Hershey. So the question begs, which will the user click on? And the only way we'll know is by actually testing this. If we continue through our test plan, you'll see that now we have the value proposition, the same as the control, but now we're placing it below the chocolate bar, and we want to know which will work better. In this example, we keep the value proposition where it's at, we keep the image the same, but now we're asking, does changing the button color to brown make a difference? And then finally, in the last example here, we're actually testing the change of the button copy, changing it from buy now to order now. So now you get a sort of a taste of what multivariate testing is. It's testing multiple pieces of creative copy, imagery on a single ad or page. But you're testing it in an environment where it's all controlled electronically by a software, and those different ads are served up just like a science experiment to the end user. In this example, I believe we had 4 variables, and I'd like to point out that this is factorial testing. So what that means is when you're testing 4 variables, 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is the number of variables being tested. That's actually 256 different permutations that are being tested. So you're actually going to get the result of 256 different variations when the testing is complete. So what do we do to conduct a test? Well, first of all, why do we conduct a test? Well, typically you conduct testing to hopefully increase conversion or to increase customer satisfaction or perception, customer engagement, things like that. We typically do the testing in high impact areas. Typically you do this on maybe a high traffic landing page, on a page where you have a form that you're looking to have your users fill out and hopefully become a consumer or a patient. You may be putting this on a physician directory where you want someone to find a physician. You may actually put this on your homepage. We're going to talk about some cautions of doing that. But sometimes we use testing on a homepage to test different calls to action, possibly the navigation, and things like that. When do we test? Well, hopefully if you are an organization that believes and puts testing into its overall culture, you test often. Typically for our clients, we try to do anywhere from 4 to 6 tests a month when possible. And then who tests? Well, usually you have in your organization somebody who manages your website, and maybe they do the testing. If you don't have someone in your organization that understands testing or that is managing your website, then you might outsource this to an agency like Earthbound Media Group or an agency that does testing. Typically, testing is done in 3 key areas, or for the purpose of 3 key areas. The first is usability, trying to improve site design, site navigation, processes on forms, and multi-step processes like checking out or scheduling an appointment, things like that. The second area is relevance, making sure that the copy, imagery, and messaging that you're putting in places like landing pages, email marketing, or different areas of your website are relevant to the end user. And then finally, on your revenue generating pages. For hospitals, this sometimes isn't as obvious, but it might be a fundraising page. It might be a page that actually helps you convert newsletters, people signing up for newsletters, or different offerings. Maybe it's an event. So just testing different messaging and offerings on those types of pages can really help you understand what your users are consuming and how they prefer to consume the content that you put out for them. By the way, this is a Forrester report that shows the top areas that people are typically testing. And I want to point out that most of what we're talking about today is data that we've pulled from Forrester and other partners so that we're giving you the best practices around multivariate testing.